Welcome everybody to These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For. Lorenzo, Phan sitting here with
Kevin Hord.
Hey, we're going to be talking some Clone Wars, Altar of Mortis, Season 3, Episode 16.
Yes, sir.
Moving right along, yeah?
Yep. This is production 311. Release date was February 4th of 2011.
Very nice.
It feels weird to say that these episodes were released past 2010.
Why?
I don't know. Like, it's the same decade. We were on, like, 2008 and 2009 for so long. It just feels weird to, like, actually
we're moving
have
along,
episodes
man.
in 2011. It's just bizarre.
Right. Moving right along, yeah. Especially since we're about past midway point for Season 3 now, right?
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
Yeah. What do we got going on in this one here?
So real quick, this one was also written by Christian Taylor, directed, however, by Brian Callen O'Connell.
I think I would go with Kalen, but I could be wrong.
Brian Callen O'Connell, correction.
That's a guess. I've never heard it said aloud.
No, well, so we're good. It's a K and not a C.
All right.
So
I don't know.
Anyway,
but the fortune cookie. Go ahead.
Yeah, fortune cookie this week. He who surrenders hope surrenders life. I know. I thought the same thing.
Right.
Got any thoughts on this one?
The obvious one going universe wide would be Jyn Erso, just because she is all about that hope business.
Okay.
But then it's the surrenders life piece at the end.
Right.
Right. I don't know if she would go that far per se. It's not a phrasing she would use. It's a sentiment that she would feel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I immediately jumped into Yoda on this one, but it didn't feel right. And then I was trying to think, like, we have the son, the daughter, the father. Is this coming from... It's definitely not coming from the son. Maybe from father. Maybe from daughter. This one...
I don't feel... The problem with these three characters is they are so defined by their traits, right? So I understand the hesitation to try and apply it to any of these three.
Yep.
Because...
Didn't feel right.
Right.
Doesn't fit.
Yeah, because, like, daughter is, like, lawful good. Son is chaotic evil, right? Father is, like, pure neutral to some degree, right?
Loving these descriptions. We should have been doing this the entire time.
Adding the Dungeons and Dragons descriptions to everybody.
Absolutely. D&D and CW.
Right. So, yeah, like, these characters are so defined by that. There's, like, Anakin can move around a bit, right? Like Anakin is maybe, like, chaotic good, I guess.
Okay.
For now.
Okay.
But this fortune cookie specifically is really hard to apply to at least these three, father, son, and daughter, who are so defined, right?
Okay. So, going back to the hope thing, I think Jyn Erso is on the right track. I don't know if she's quite there. What about Leia?
I was gonna say Leia or Bail. Either of those two could.
Bail's
could apply
good too.
Here. I think
My
Bail is
other
good,
suggestion would be. Yeah, my other suggestion would have been Cassian, but like after he meets Jyn and like after he's kind of influenced by her.
That
hope.
Short little interval that they know each other.
Right.
Yeah.
But
okay. I'm down for any of it, honestly. So.
Yeah, we got a multitude of people here.
Yeah, we're gonna have to pick one. We're spending way too much time on this at this point now.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm alright with it. I'm gonna lean on Bail. We'll go with Bail.
Let's go with Bail. I like Bail.
Bail Organa it is.
Bail is good.
He's got some ancillary connection to kind of all these characters, so
right.
We'll go with him. Moving beyond the fortune cookie, The newsreel here is just a straight up recap of Overlords.
Yep.
And then just kind of feeds straight into this episode, where Overlords ended with them basically saying, them being our trio of Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka, saying, all right, we're leaving. They get on their ship, they take off. At the end of the newsreel, the narrator says, and we join our heroes in their flight to leave the planet, or so they think.
Right.
Then
Very ominous.
Yeah, not really, but we kind of pan over to the interior of the ship. Anakin is sleeping, and so he's got a force dream, I guess you could call it, and he hears somebody talking to him. He wakes up. I guess this is supposed to be him back on the planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he wakes up, kind of looks over in the distance and sees himself. So Anakin 2 walks up to Anakin 1, is talking to him. Doesn't sound like Matt Lanter as Obi-Wan Kenobi, or as Anakin Skywalker, right? And is revealed to be brother, right?
Son.
He is called brother in this episode.
He is called brother, but his name is son.
His name is son. You're correct.
He is referred to brother by daughter.
Because they are brother and sister.
Because they are brother and sister. But he is son.
Yes.
Got it? Yeah.
Got it.
You made the mistake multiple times last time, too.
I know.
That was funny.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I just want to call him brother. I want to call him brother and sister.
So everything revolves around father here, so.
Mm-hmm. But their conversation is about, like, the light side and the dark side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whether there truly is dark and light, and Sith and Jedi, or whether they matter, and true Anakin is yelling at son Anakin, saying, "You're a Sith, I'm going to destroy the Sith," and the son says that they will destroy both the Sith and the Jedi, and this is the point where Anakin wakes up, and Ahsoka asks him if he had a nightmare, and he's like, yeah, something like that. And then brother appears on the ship.
Yep.
Takes Ahsoka.
Jettisons out of the bottom of the ship.
Anakin runs into the cockpit. Obi-Wan is completely oblivious to anything that's been going on.
Right.
And basically
it's an odd little
so.
detail, because like the doors shut behind Anakin as soon as son shows up and grabs Ahsoka. Right?
Right.
And I don't know why it was necessary for Obi-Wan to be outside of that room as that was happening. Like, it's a weird 2-second interlude that I just don't know why it's there.
Yeah,
right?
It's bizarre. It's like, I don't know. It kind of reeks of like somebody watched this episode and was like, "Hey, why didn't Obi-Wan like notice what was going on?" And somebody else was like, "Oh no, let's just close the doors.
Let's just shut
the
door."
That
right.
2-line conversation that son and Anakin have.
Because it would make sense to me that Obi-Wan like can't see what's happening, so Obi-Wan questioning what happens back there wouldn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that he doesn't understand that anything happened, right?
Right.
Like, that is weird to me. But anyway, so they keep flying, and essentially the ship crashes back into the planet, correct?
Yeah, Anakin takes control because when Son drops out the bottom, he turns into his gargoyle form, which is... Right. I always called it like his bat form, but Wikipedia set me straight, and it's considered his gargoyle form. He's got Ahsoka, so Anakin runs into the cockpit and kind of updates Obi-Wan on what's going on. He's like, "Oh, son took Ahsoka," and Obi-Wan's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Nope, we're doing this thing." Takes the controls, is flying after Son. There are some spires sticking up from the ground that they're weaving in and out. There was lots of fog and or clouds or something, mist, smoke, who knows what. And he loses sight of Son. And then all of the mist, smoke, clouds part, and there's like the big tower with the green Sauron eye on top. right?
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, like, Obi-Wan grabs the controls to avert disaster, I guess.
Well, Anakin's reaction time is a little slower here than usual. So
And
they are
then,
flying straight into it.
mm-hmm.
And then Obi-Wan is like, "Hey, I guess I'm doing this."
Yeah, so
Takes a left
Obi-Wan
turn.
grabs the controls.
Mm-hmm.
Then Anakin grabs controls back, so I guess they're control for control fighting each other. I don't know.
Right.
They end up crashing, and when they both sit up, because it's not like they were knocked unconscious. There's not like a passage of time. They just like crash, and they're both face down.
Right.
They both sit up, and Obi-Wan's like, "Oh, my bad, dude. I didn't know if you saw that thing." And Anakin's like, "It's a giant fucking tower. Of course I saw it. Like, now we crashed, and it's your fault.
Right.
And we need to go get Ahsoka." And Obi-Wan is reluctant to go because he's like, "No, she was taken for a purpose by Son, and I don't know that we can do anything about it, and I don't think we should interject with this weird Force business that's going on. We might alter the future of the universe, or something like that." And
basically, it's just they keep getting stuck in this family squabble, and Obi-Wan's just like, "Look, we don't know what's going on. How about we just head straight to the top of this food chain here?
This shit is out of our hands, and
Right.
I don't think us meddling is going to do any good at all."
Right.
So yeah, Obi-Wan wants to stay out of it. His advice is to go confer with Father, and then he does say something to Anakin about, don't you feel this side of, or this part of the planet is very strong with the dark side? Anakin is convinced he can help. We cut over to Ahsoka at this point. Did Obi-Wan and Anakin split up here? Is that what happened?
Basically. So we get a cutaway that they don't split up quite yet. I think Anakin does start to walk away, but we don't see Obi-Wan exactly not follow. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's exactly what happened.
It totally makes sense. The only reason I ask is because I did feel like a few times in this episode there was like implied motion between characters, and then like we cut away and we cut back, and it's like one of them or the other one, and then they're like in different locations.
Yeah,
and
we're like in a different scene, and we have to infer what happened.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we cut over to Ahsoka, and she's chained up inside some temple thing. I think it was a monastery, but that's where Father is when it was in Overlord, so I don't know. She's in a chamber.
Right.
Chained to a wall. More handcuffed to a wall, maybe. We get this creature that comes up and starts talking to her, and they kind of have a conversation back and forth about what exactly, I'm not really sure. It's just kind of like a plot breakdown of what's happening, I think, right?
Sort of, yeah.
What did you get out of this?
Not much. Yeah, like, this little creature kind of explains the status of the galaxy, almost. Like, it's it's a weird, broad view of, like, how shitty the galaxy can be, right?
Right.
So, Ahsoka is like, whatever, like, I gotta get out of here, like, and this little creature is like, well, like, why would you leave? Because there's nothing in the galaxy that's worth saving, blah, 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 right?
Right. It's so special here. Everything is perfect. There's balance and yada, yada, yada. So he lets her go, and then he bites her.
Right.
And then he is revealed to be Son, just in a different form.
Yep.
I honestly would have preferred that this was just like a separate creature. I mean, I guess it makes sense that on Mortis there is father, son, daughter, and that's it. Right?
Yeah.
There's not...
We can't really introduce other things without then throwing off said balance, right?
Correct. So, I know it makes sense from a story point, but I was excited to see this new character, creature guy, and then it was Son, and I was like, oh, of course it is. Like, anytime that we see anybody other than the main 6 people on this planet, it's really just Son.
It's just one of... Yeah. I do like the idea that Son himself, though, is kind of trying to corrupt Ahsoka, right? And trying to tell her that her master isn't coming, and trying to break her down before he just relents, I guess. It's part of his plan, I guess, to bite her regardless.
I think maybe he's like trying to get her to come to his side willingly, and when that doesn't work, he just infects her with his dark side venom.
Yeah. I feel like the bite would have happened regardless, just based on what needs to happen down the line, but otherwise there's a lot of groundwork that would have to be laid.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really like the bite. Like,
I'm not gonna lie, it's again the rules of this planet don't make sense to begin with. So, coming off the last arc of episodes that we've had, the bite is weird just from a visual, physical standpoint. But I don't know if, say, sorcery here would have been any better per se for what needs to happen for the rest of the story to proceed.
I mean, we kind of see some sorcery later, so what's the difference?
I will have questions on too, but again, I just have questions about the implied powers that they all have and the limitations of each as well. So I'm curious, how is the bite something that is specific to Sun here, or is bite something that other perhaps crazy Sith folk can do later on?
If that were the case, then I think I would be more apt to think this was awesome. However, I feel like kind of last episode we set up, Sun is like Force vampire bad guy, and now he's also like Force shape-shifting werewolf bite you and control your mind bad guy.
Right. Exactly. Well, yeah, vampire. Carrying on the vampire theme.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just.
So. I guess it is what it is, and we don't really need to dwell on it too much. Right. Right now, we can definitely talk about it more later if you like. But at this point in the show, we cut over to Obi-Wan, who is back at the ship. And Anakin is nowhere to be seen.
Exactly, yeah. So, like I said, I think we saw Anakin start to walk away, and Obi-Wan is just like, oh god, there he goes. And then we cut back, and Obi-Wan notices a light above the ship, essentially, which comes from fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
We see him crash. So they hit the ground and they slide. A lot of sliding. Right?
They slide very far because they're far away from tower with green light at the top.
Right.
And Obi-Wan says to himself, "Oh, Anakin, always on the move." There's a lot of direct quotes from the original 6 movies.
Right.
Like the OT and the PT, right?
Right.
This is definitely one of them. And then he says to himself, "How do I find the father?" And he looks up, and boom, new spire, new tower, white
right there.
Is it a white light on top, or is this the one of them's got a green crystal? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It just blends together in my mind. This is the monastery where Father was in Overlord. So, my note is Starlight Tower. There you go. So Obi-Wan knows where he's going. We cut at this point to the family gathering, as I called it, and it's father, it's son, it's daughter. Father is scolding son for explicitly choosing the dark side, and he's like, "You've given yourself all the way over to the dark side. Get your shit together, otherwise I'm gonna have to control you." Son throws some force lightning at father. They have an argument. Son tries to kill father.
Yeah.
Right.
And Obi-Wan
force lightning throws him across the room, down some stairs, smashes onto the floor, rolls to Obi-Wan's feet.
Yep.
My note was, son kills father, dies at foot of Obi-Wan, son flies off, and then my next note was, oops, yeah, he's not dead.
No, not at all. Okay. Daughter hears the fight, runs out to help father.
See, I thought that she was there. I thought it was like the three of them in the room.
Well, the three of them were in the room. Then you missed because Father starts walking away. And then Son does a dirty and shoots Force Lightning from behind. So Father had left the room.
Gotcha.
Father was like, I'm not listening to your bullshit. Like, this is fucking annoying. I'm getting out of here. And then Son is like, no, you will listen. Shoots. Rolls down the stairs. And then that's when Daughter is like, what the fuck did you just do, asshole? Like,
right, so she did see it.
No, she was not in the room. Or she was, like, it happened outside.
Okay.
So,
I'm used to missing details, but, like, I feel like I'm missing all kinds of, like, where people are geographically with other people in this episode.
This one was really fairly clear to me, This one, you see Father leave room. Because you see him when he walks between a narrow pathway. Then we get a shot from outside, and that's when we see Son behind him.
Okay.
And then we see the other shot of Obi-Wan walking up, and then we see the stairs he rolls down from Obi's vantage point, which is outside a set of doors.
Okay.
Then Daughter comes through doorway and goes.
So what was she doing while Son and
I got
Father
nothing for you
arguing?
there.
Just like sitting and chilling?
I think so, yeah. Doing her own thing. So
checking out the new couch, like,
I don't know.
These cushions are comfy. Where's
I have
my
nothing
throw
for
pillows?
you there. Nothing for you there.
I got nothing.
So anyways, Daughter helps Father. Obi-Wan basically still is like, yeah, I feel bad, but I still need to ask for his help. And Daughter's like, no, he needs to rest. Dude is hurt
right now. They also have a conversation about light and dark. And Daughter says that she is inherently selfless, like, because that's what she is. She's the light side. She's Daughter. She's selfless, and her brother is always selfish and dark. So I know this is just kind of like a rehash. Like they re-explain the Force and light and dark and kind of what that means and like what traits embody those sides, shall we say, multiple times in this episode. And this is just another description of the same thing from the light point of view this time, as opposed to from Son's point of view. And Obi-Wan tells her, like, you need to stop your brother. You need to stop Son. She's like, no, I can't do that. I'm not strong enough. I mean, Obi-Wan tells her, you and Anakin combined have the power to stop him. And then she's like, come with me. And we cut to a cave. They're walking down a trail. There's some nice vegetation all around. There's a cave. They enter. We got some Mordor flames. We got some stairs going down to like a lava pit type thing. This altar like can be seen. Daughter says, this is as far as I can go. The rest of this task is up to you. And Obi-Wan's like, I don't even know what it is. And she's like, oh, it'll make sense when you get over there. So at this point, I expected like something to happen. Like some trials, some difficulty. But Obi-Wan really just jumps onto a floating rock. It drops down to the level of the altar. He hops over there and picks up this dagger. And did you look into this dagger at all? What do you know about this? I did not.
No.
So Daughter just calls it the blade. Well, apparently this is the dagger of Mortis, or more commonly known as just Mortis dagger. And this is a handle, hilt, and blade that Wikipedia describes as being made of the Force. So this is like a weaponized personification of the Force itself.
Okay. But why though? like why does the Force gather itself and create a blade? Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. It's a very valid question. I do not have an answer to you.
Yeah, and why why is Obi-Wan of all people able to just walk up to it, grab it, have it form, and then be able to walk away, and then afterwards we'll get to it, but then like it seems like it's a free for all once it's out of this like random box that's been held in.
Then
right?
Anybody can wield it essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
here's
what are the rules on why this blade exists? Because like clearly, like I was thinking maybe the blade was maybe like an Excalibur stand-in.
That's what I thought. Like
but it's not at all.
Like, is Obi-Wan worthy? Will he be able to pull this thing? But no, he just reaches in and grabs it, and when he picks it up, it's more just like the hilt of some Excalibur type sword, and then the blade like manifests itself. Here's the description. The dagger of Mortis, simply referred to as the Mortis dagger, was a mythical weapon that resided on the altar of the wild space world of Mortis. The weapon was kept hidden on the realm of Mortis by the father, who kept it as a means that could control his children, the daughter and the son. The weapon was capable of controlling the sibling pair of powerful force wielders, and it was also capable of killing them if necessary. When used on the father, however, his death at the hands of the dagger would rob his children of their immortality. That is the description.
Yeah, none of these rules make any sense at all.
Right. We do get
Wait. So if father dies by any other means, then children continue to be immortal? I mean, I guess that's what Anakin was brought there to do.
Right.
But then if father's plan went through, then Anakin is immortal and also holds on to the immortality of son and daughter?
Yes.
I don't understand this mission, honestly. Like, I know we're going back to Overlord shit, but just transferring duties, I guess, to Anakin, therefore gives him the powers? Is that right?
It does seem like that. This is something I'd like to get back to in our wrap-up, because once we get through kind of the plot of this whole thing, we'll have all of the information that this episode presents, and we can talk about whether or not this is a tidy package or not.
Right. One more thing about the blade I will say, and this has nothing to do with this episode per se, and it is very coincidental that I have just experienced this, but for one hot second, for outside context, this past weekend I did the Star Wars Secret of the Empire VR experience at Downtown Disney.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, for about 2 seconds, spoilers for Secrets of the Empire, there is a object that you come across, and I kind of thought that this was that.
Okay.
It is not, but they do look very similar.
Okay.
Other than the fact that the blade of the Mortis blade, the Mortis dagger, does appear physical.
Right.
Whereas the other object still appears closer in lightsaber form. Shall we
more
say?
Energy based.
Yeah, more energy based.
Okay.
But for a hot second, I really thought these were the same object.
Awesome. I'm excited to talk about that
in a different,
in detail at a later time.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it was just by an odd coincidence that we are recording this at about a time that I experienced the other thing, and I think like my mind, just for outside context, is like still running through what happened in Secrets of the Empire. So
that's awesome to hear.
Anyways, moving on. Yeah, moving on. So the blade is obtained by Obi-Wan with zero trials or tribulations.
Hop on rock, take elevator down, hop on other rock, pick up blade, done.
Move on. Yeah, moving on. At most I would expect maybe like an Aladdin, like, is the boy worthy? I need a diamond in the rough situation. Because like beyond that, the only trial to get to the lamp is don't fucking touch shit. Right?
Right, or even like an Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade Holy Grail situation where it's like
Right.
there's a bunch of them and he's got to like choose the right Mortis dagger.
Right, exactly. Nope, it's there, just
It's
right there,
there.
just for the
You
taking.
just got to
Floating.
reach into the energy well and pull out
Right.
the hilt and boom, there you go.
But anyways, I think honestly in this one it's maybe a time issue with the script, because I will say the rest of the episode is rather filled.
I don't disagree with you. There is a lot
Yeah.
of stuff that happens in this episode.
Yes. So what happens next now?
We cut over to Anakin, and we get a nice him climbing up over the edge of something onto a platform, as Obi-Wan did about 4 minutes before this. Except for Anakin is climbing toward the green light tower as opposed to the white light tower, and he comes across Ahsoka. This is bad Ahsoka with like the I don't know, what do you call it, where you can like see the veins like protruding through her face and stuff because they're like dark with dark energy or whatnot. It's like
Right.
the visualization of Ahsoka being influenced by Sun and the dark side. Right.
Yeah, she's like in mild zombie mode is basically how I'd put it.
Yeah, like Force zombie or like
Yeah.
dark side zombie.
Dark side zombie, yeah.
We'll call it that. Dark side zombie. I'm cool with that. My note was bad Ahsoka is crazy. So she has to kind of explain the plan to Anakin as it was explained to her previously, and she's basically like, he is all powerful. He is the one to do the good things, and he needs to accomplish his goals. It's all kind of vague up until the point where she says, what does she say? Something like, and he's going to kill me, and Anakin's like, no, I'm not going to let that happen. She's like, well, if you don't join him... Sorry. She says...
for you here.
What she says is, if you don't join him, he'll kill me. Anakin's like, nope. And she says, well, then you'll be forced to kill me yourself. Ignites her lightsaber, and then the implication is that they are going to fight. We cut over to son and sister. Nope. We cut over to son. He's talking about sister to Obi-Wan. Or father. One of the two.
Wait, no, so Obi-Wan and daughter are talking to son because father is still out of commission.
Good
Father's
call.
still down for the count.
We get a couple of quotes here also, like the sister from Vader, you know, sister, you have a sister, your thoughts betray you, whatever. That line totally comes out the same, and then he says something from a certain point of view.
Yep.
I don't know what the conversation was about. These were the two notes that I got out of it. We cut back to Anakin and Ahsoka fighting. Then Obi-Wan arrives to help Anakin because Son is like, oh, your chosen one is doing so good. Like, you should go check on him and see his progress because his demise is imminent or whatever. So Obi-Wan shows up. Ahsoka's like, great, 2 Jedi, finally a challenge, which I feel like is something that Grievous would say, or Asajj Ventress or something, right? So they're fighting. Son at this point,
I do want to pause real quick,
Sure.
too. I will say the animation at this point, during Ahsoka's monologue, during her corrupted phase, is really expressive and really well done.
Yep.
I just want to point this out because, like, starting in season 1, like, all that, I think, you know, if you go back to our discussions then, I always pointed out how rough the animation looked, but we're
past that now?
We're way past that. I've definitely noted before when we've moved into this point, but I want to make another note here that the facial animations are we're in a nice, fluid, natural mode here. Like, things still kind of have a point A to point B movement at times, but that seems to be more for the gross movements, the big movements, right? The facial animation definitely seems more naturalistic now, and the acting that comes through the animation is very well done, right?
awesome.
It's not dependent. Yeah, it's not dependent on just the voice acting anymore, which I am very pleased to see.
I am very pleased to hear your turnaround of perception of the animation. And
Definitely.
that things are moving in a
Definitely.
positive direction. That's awesome.
Oh, absolutely, completely. Yeah, I will even note there is something that I also noted, and this doesn't really have much to do with anything at this moment, but same with daughter and son.
Mm-hmm.
I think their animations are really well done, but because of how daughter is glowy, I guess, like she is always internally bright, right?
She's
always
luminescent.
emanating. Yeah, she's luminescent. There's the word. Yeah, so she's always emanating light, right? There is still something funny, and I don't mean to immediately turn around and knock the animation, but I do think that Son looks really cool, and he's always in shadow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you turn around and look at daughter,
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of tell that the textures are still on like a slightly blurred scale. But again, it's like a weird, because she's glowy and she is always just sort of soft lit.
Do you think it
Which
would
I
have
think
been
is really
better if
funny.
she was like backlit as opposed to like internally lit?
That's a good point. Yeah. Like, there's still logic that won't make any sense, but already we have logic that doesn't make sense on how she's glowy.
Yeah,
right?
and I mean it doesn't really have to. We're on like an independent force planet that's like larger than a meteor but smaller
Right,
than
completely.
an actual planet, and all of it's like internal inside this like double pyramid shaped
Right,
thing.
completely.
Right. So logic
Yeah.
can totally go out the window. You've got Avatar-esque
Gargoyles
floating rocks and shit going
Right.
on, and the seasons go by the day, kind of.
Right.
But
Yeah.
as
So, yeah, for sure, that's a good question. I don't, either way, like, the reason I bring up son and daughter is
Mhm.
that because of the way, in any case, I think she will always stand out when she's at son's tower, right? I
Mhm.
think that's the thing, is like, she almost looks like, if this were a live action, it would be like a bad green screen situation, right?
okay,
Right. But that said, I think that's just due to the limitations of the rules they have set around her.
okay,
Right. But otherwise, like, I think the animation on son and daughter are especially cool, and especially with daughter because they're making like her hair floaty and stuff as well, right?
yeah, she's got like a floaty slash underwater quality to
Yes.
her movement.
Yeah, like definitely Little Mermaid Ariel-esque hair motions
Mhm.
are happening. Or, more timely might be like Aquaman. Like
Okay.
the way they animated hair in the Aquaman movie.
Yeah,
Basically is a live action version of what happens in Little Mermaid.
and his shirt does cover almost as much as hers does as well.
Right. Definitely, for sure. So, but yeah, so that said, we're at a point where I will definitely be troubled if animation takes a weird dip moving forward, right?
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen.
Right. Yeah. But I'm glad that we're at a point where all facial animations have kind of caught up to where it needs to be.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I said, I'm glad that it's caught up to your expectation, I guess.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
Moving forward, Son at this point gives like his oration of hate and dark, and it's all got this real Sheevy Palpatine like throat graveliness to it. It sounds like even for Son, like he's putting on a different voice as he is talking about hate and how it can turn you and control you. And I was like, all right. Like, did this guy see some hollows of Sheev? Has he talked to Darth Sidious? Like, it was too close for comfort for me, and it just made me forget about what he was saying. and more about how it was being delivered.
Yeah. Again, I don't know what the rules are because of the way like there's so many lines from prequel trilogy and original trilogy leaking in, and this moment as well. I agree with you. I just again because of what Father is trying to accomplish here, I'm trying to figure out their ability to see what is happening around the galaxy. Right? Like, if Father has heard word of the Chosen One, but there's just these 3 on the planet, like, where is he getting this word from?
Right. They have to have, like, some Heimdall ability of sight. Right.
Yeah, is it Heimdall, or is it just, like, reaching out with the Force? Is it astral projection?
These are good points. Is it a combination of all of these?
Right. Do they have, like, a Bran Stark-like ability to also see, like, to... Yeah, like, I guess it would be a form of astral projection to some degree, but... But, like, Bran Stark's abilities are slightly different. Like, he's not projecting himself, he's just kind of projecting his consciousness. Like, nobody can see him, nobody can interact with him. Right.
But his consciousness can, like, witness things in a different place.
Place and time. Right.
I was going to say, does this include time? In which case, can Father see through time also? Like, through Force time?
Yeah, that's a question I also have, Especially, again, with what is happening with Son's vocal affectations here, where he's putting on a Palpatine-like manner of speech. Is this Son kind of taking in information, not knowing where it's coming from, but still like he's rolling with it? Does that make sense?
Or being influenced by it in some way,
right? Like subconscious, maybe for Son, but you know, like some future projection has infiltrated his consciousness.
Right. Now,
like he doesn't know where it came from, but
did you see this sheeviness also, or is that just something that I saw?
I got a sense of it. Like it was enough for me to notice it. It wasn't strong enough for me to go, yes, that's Sheev, right? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like, it's influenced by, but not directed by.
Okay. Yeah, because for me, it was like, it was strong enough that it was distracting.
Right.
So, but yeah, beyond that, at this point, basically son and daughter decide that they need to fight each other. So we have 2 different duels going on. We cut over to Father, and he awakens from his Odin sleep. More son-daughter fight. We've got, like, she is just kind of, like, emanating light out to fight Son. And he's got lightning, and then we switch both of them into their animal spirit modes.
Which only lasts for, like, 1 attack, and I was, like, super annoyed by that, honestly.
Yeah, and then Father intervenes at that point. He uses... I don't know, like, he absorbs the bad force lightning that Son is putting out, and, like, uses, like, an energy blast or something to, like, knock him down, and then kind of everybody coalesces, and everybody's on, like, the same platform. So we have our 6 characters in this play have finally all coalesced together. And it was... I
do want to point out something really interesting about the force lightning that Father shields himself from, because it's a lot different than
when Yoda does it?
Yes, because Yoda definitely seems to gather the lightning and then, like, balls it up and then, like, either absorbs it or dissipates it. But visually, when Son is attacking Father...
Now, daughter does it, too. And they both have, like, the same...
Right?
Yes, they both have, like, the same effect. Like, when they hold their hands up, it is, like, there is, like, this concave... invisible shielded area that the lightning is, like, collecting in. Right.
So, like, it sort of hits this invisible surface and kind of, like, sparkles out from there to some degree. It doesn't seem to coalesce the same way like Yoda pulls it in.
Yes, I saw this as well.
Okay, that's it. I just want to note that.
Okay, cool. So after all parties are together, we do get some talk back and forth. Obi-Wan pulls out the blade, and Father is like, you took them to the temple, or you took them to the altar. And isn't he like, how could you do that? Like, you're setting things in motion that you won't know about or something.
Right.
I'm kind of speculating.
It's very vague
conversation at this point. And then Obi-Wan goes to give it to Anakin instead of like doing the deed himself. And I guess this is because Anakin is the chosen one and he's the one that needs to bring the balance or something. But
I think I could be wrong. Didn't Daughter also mention something like give it to Anakin or something?
No, she says he who holds the blade will be able to control my brother. So
right. Okay.
At that point,
Obi-Wan
should be able to control,
go after the brother.
Yeah.
After son.
Son. Now, according to Wikipedia, whoever has the blade is able to control both of them, and she conveniently left that part out. But anyway, he throws it to Anakin. Bad Ahsoka jumps up and grabs it before Anakin can, and walks up to Son and gives it to Son. And then Son uses it to try to kill Father. Mm-hmm. But Daughter jumps in between them, and he stabs Daughter in the back on accident, so she collapses. One part I did skip is that once Ahsoka does give Son the dagger, then he says, I no longer have any use for you. Taps her on the forehead, and she just collapses.
Yeah, she's down. She's out. Yep.
At this point, she's dead.
Yeah.
So when he accidentally stabs his sister, he like screams in terror and flies off, turns into gargoyle mode, flies away, drops the dagger for some reason.
Yeah.
Isn't this something that he should keep with him?
I don't know.
You would think. I don't know.
Again,
either.
I don't know what I don't know what the importance of the dagger is to them.
I didn't even notice that he dropped it. It was just like in doing some other reading about the episode. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess he dropped it then. Like, I thought he took off with it. I probably looked down and like write something down. And it was like, dagger drop, mic drop.
Yeah, honestly, I don't notice. I didn't notice where the dagger went at all. Like, I'm assuming maybe it was still just in Daughter's back, and then he was like, oh fuck, I'm getting out of here.
That's totally what it is, because Father pulls it out. You are correct.
Yeah, but again, what is the importance of the dagger to the three? Like, if the person who wields the dagger can control Son and Daughter, but then what does that mean if Son or Daughter is wielding it? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
then they should be able to control the other one.
I don't know. It's such a weird self-reflexive, like, quality to a dagger.
It's not quite paradoxical. It doesn't get to that level, but it feels like somebody like wanted it to like be brushing against that. Like,
I don't know. It's
in this weird loop of control or something.
So it's like when John Malkovich enters John Malkovich's brain, and then you enter the world of Malkovich's.
Yes.
Okay, that's that's a long old reference to pull out. So
that is true. What year that movie came out?
99, I think.
I was going to say 98, 99.
Yeah. Yep. Carrying on.
Yeah, coming back to the Clone Wars. The Son flies off. Father pulls the dagger out. Daughter is dying. She's laying on the ground. And then Father and Anakin have like a little bit of back and forth. And the gist of what I got out of Father's conversation is that he says the balance is broken. Anakin is asking if... I thought he was asking if Father could do something about Daughter. Later I realized he was asking if Father could save Ahsoka. And he says...
he was always talking about Ahsoka, yeah.
Yeah, for some reason I thought he was talking about Daughter. Because Daughter is like dying. I thought Anakin was asking if he could help daughter to, like, restore this balance. And he's like, I can't undo what is done. There is no light. There is no hope. And then Anakin's like, no, there's always hope. And so Father says, well, let my dying daughter's last act be to save her. And at this point, I made the connection. They were talking about Ahsoka. And
right. Well, also because Anakin is literally kneeling over Ahsoka's body when he is pleading with Father.
It took me 2 episodes to figure out what was going on here. Like, two times watching this, right?
2 views, yeah.
And then this really weird thing happens where, like...
Yeah.
The father steps behind Anakin, and they both raise their...
Well, Anakin steps between kneels between daughter and Ahsoka.
Okay.
Right? So Anakin kneels... Yeah. Anakin gets between both... Daughter and Ahsoka are lying next to each other, facing the... Like, you know, both heads are facing the same direction. Anakin kneels between both their heads. He reaches out both hands above their foreheads, puts a finger down. Father's behind, kind of guiding Anakin's actions, but not really doing anything per se. And
Isn't
then
he, like, chanting something?
I don't remember, honestly. But he puts his fingers... Anakin puts his fingers on both their foreheads. Then we get, like, a bright light situation. Daughter's luminescence disappears, but Ahsoka wakes up.
Yeah, everybody becomes bioluminescent at this point, and daughter and Ahsoka raise off the ground. Anakin's eyes light up like Thor with some lightning powers. Right. The music fucking kicks into gear here, and we've got, like, the Force theme right in your face. And, yeah, then the 2 ladies drop down to the ground, and now daughter is dead. Ahsoka is alive again. My note here was weird.
Yeah.
That was all.
Again,
and then at this point,
I got nothing.
Father has, like, another monologue of what's going on. The gist of what I got was, my world crumbles, war grows in your world, my son grows stronger, your Sith grows stronger. And then Anakin's like, well, go stop him. And Father's like, yeah, I can't do that. But he needs your ship, so you guys need to get out of here. Like, get to your ship before he does, which I don't know how the timing's going to work out on that one. We don't learn in this episode, but the 3 of our normal trio kind of slowly goes away as Father leans over and mourns over his dead daughter's body, as fathers would, and he says, I shall mourn all that I have done and all that is yet to be, which leads me to believe that he can see through Force time, both into the past and into the future. He is probably timeless, as far as
but
the
why
Force
is he growing
goes.
old and weak? Like, I don't understand that part.
If he's timeless and immortal?
Yeah, if he's immortal and he exists outside of time, but he has to bring the Chosen One because he's growing old. And even the son at some point earlier in the episode, too, is like, you're growing old and feeble and, like, you're losing yourself.
Yeah, and then son tells daughter at one point in time when she's like, did you try to kill Dad? And he's like, he was taking too long to die. I was getting impatient, so I just wanted to help him along.
Right. So that I got nothing here. I don't understand these rules.
I'm not really sure either, but that is the end of the episode. So cue loud music, Iverson.
Indeed. Yeah.
That's that one, and let's give this one our final thoughts, and we can get back to what you were talking about earlier in whether or not they're like the rules of this episode or this place makes sense, and because I can tell you that is going to come into my final judgment of this thing.
No worries. Yeah, I do have one really, really big comment / question.
Sure.
Ahsoka dies and comes back. Then, in Revenge of the Sith, we get this whole fucking thing where Anakin is worried about Padme dying. Mm-hmm. And then so we get the whole tragedy
of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Yes. But here, Anakin has already experienced watching a person die and come back. Does this cheapen the urgency, shall I say, of what happens in Revenge of the Sith?
From our point of view or from his point of view?
From both?
Um,
Definitely from a viewer standpoint. I think from a viewer standpoint, let's start there. I was definitely thinking of a viewer standpoint, I guess.
Okay. So, seeing as this episode does not conclude with what the hell happens to our trio, I think we need to figure that out first before we can talk about how this storyline kind of affects continuity as a whole from a viewer standpoint. Because Overlords ends with, we're in our ship and some weird shit happened, but we're leaving. And then this episode's like, nope, you're not going anywhere. And some other weird shit happens, and now you are walking away again and going back to your ship again.
Right.
So I think we need to, if the next episode is just, I don't know, them on some Star Destroyer somewhere, like, it's good to have some R&R after that weird experience, then yes.
I still think all the same, though, just as a viewer having seen it, regardless of what happens in the next one, right?
Okay.
Like, I think the idea that this power exists in some form.
Well, okay. I totally understand where you're coming from, and I'm not just trying to be contrary, but this is like a whole different level of force than Anakin or Yoda or Sheev or Obi-Wan or Mace Windu or any Jedi or Sith that we have seen. So I think this is outside of the normal understanding of the Force, and as you've brought up a couple times, like, the rules of this place are different, not only in these episodes, but in the universe in general. Like, this place exists outside of the normal universe, so different things can happen that probably can't happen in the regular universe of Star Wars.
Right. Surely. Yep.
Will you take that as an explanation?
Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That being said, Dave Rave or Filoni Baloney, thumbs up, thumbs down?
I will give this a thumbs up.
Okay.
Yeah. I still, as weird as this episode is, I do like it for its weirdness. I do think the story and the way it's told is still compelling.
Okay.
Right. I still have many questions.
Right.
But that said, as the episode carried along, I was definitely interested. I was never bored. I never found any scenes to really quite be a waste. Nothing felt like filler, per se, right? Everything was in service of a single story, and I appreciated this episode for that.
I will agree with you on some of those points. Filler is definitely not a word that came to mind when I was I was watching this. Confusing, that came to mind.
Yes.
There are a lot of plot points, like pushing this story forward, but I don't feel like it's finished. I feel like it's like half of the information that I need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though this is like a continuation of Overlords, and this is like a part 2 of 3, and I can tell you that because the next episode is called Ghost of Mortis, so I'm not thinking they're done on Mortis yet, right? But Overlords felt like a complete, these people went here, these things happened, this is where they're going. This one was more like, oh yeah, they're not really done. A whole bunch of stuff happens, but you don't have the full picture, and it's not even like a to be continued. It's just like, oopsie daisies, and I don't know, walk off stage right. And
but with the TV show, do you, like, isn't it always just kind of implied that Like, do you need every episode to say to be continued?
No. But
like, I don't need every episode of Game of Thrones to be like, oh, by the way, this shit's not done yet. Like,
well, no, I totally understand that, but so to me, this feels like we went to a commercial break and never came back.
Okay, yeah.
As opposed to this is the end of the episode.
I still feel like, in terms of an arc for this episode alone, though, like I think the arc revolves around daughter. Right, that arc is complete. That is done for obvious reasons.
Right,
right, like. So I think if you, in the structure of storytelling, like that is your denouement right there.
Right.
Right. That is your way out. Surely they're still walking off into the sunset with unresolved questions. But in terms of arc of television storytelling, like you have your build up.
Right.
You have the fight between son, daughter, father intervenes.
Right.
That's your climax right there.
Right.
You know, the stab happens, and then you lower off from there. Or actually, no, the climax would be life transfer.
Yeah.
Right.
I just feel like this... I think Overlords I gave like a 52%, so it was like just barely thumbs up. This one for me gets like a 48%, so it's just like barely thumbs down. And they're real close together, and I know that the defining thing is going to be whatever happens next week, but this episode to me either had too much going on or not enough. Like, I don't know if like just a little bit should have been saved for another part of a different story, and then they could have like expanded some of this stuff that I was just super confused about, or if they needed to like pack even more into this so that I don't know how to explain it. Like, it just felt like a too much or not enough type thing, and I'm really hoping that next week, because it's been a long time since I have seen the conclusion to this 3-parter. I was really excited about it when it came up, thinking that like, oh, these are going to be like the 3 best episodes of the series. I disagree with that thought so far.
That's funny that you thought that, because I knew going in. I remember this arc. I don't remember the details of the following episode.
I don't know.
Here's the previous thought I had on this arc, right? So as we have discussed in Overlords and Altar of Mortis here, I do like these episodes. We are judging. I am personally judging on quality of episode, right?
Right.
Is the episode good or bad? Right. That's it.
As you do.
As I do. So there's gonna be another question, and I'll pose it here so that we can maybe both think about it as we're watching the next episode. A question I had upon original viewing, and I still have now, is this necessary? Right? There is my... I also posed this question, I think, with the I forgot what the arc is called, but the Geonosian zombies. I think when we reached those episodes, I brought up that I was disappointed that Clone Wars was saved from being excised into Legends, because I didn't like the idea of Geonosian zombies existing in the Star Wars universe, right? And while so far these 2 episodes I do like, I have a same sentiment around this arc. But this arc holds a lot more meaning to the Star Wars universe as a whole versus, say, Geonosian zombies based on a virus, whatever, blah, 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 right?
Yep.
And this, we are getting into, like, nitty-gritty Force shit here.
I know, which is why I begrudgingly, like, gave this one a thumbs down, because this is... it's the meat and potatoes of the shit that I've been talking about the entire time of, like, as you said, the nitty-gritty details of things that I really enjoy. And I think maybe I just need to watch these episodes 3 or 4 dozen more times, right? And get more intimate with what's going on to truly appreciate what it is, because I'm trying to scratch the surface here, and I feel like I just keep digging.
No, I'm not gonna lie though. What I am saying though is over the last 5 years of having seen this show and this arc, feel maybe not in the exact same way you are feeling, but you know, now I've kind of lost the train of thought. But like, to me, if I were to step back and maybe, like I said, we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but I don't like. There's a part of me that feels that this whole arc is sort of a crazier version of midichlorians. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So like that is, I agree with you. Like, I also like I'm giving this a thumbs up because the episode was entertaining. But at the same time, from a fan standpoint, looking at this series and what it means to the Star Wars universe, I am with you in terms of like there's a discomfort I have.
Yep,
with this storyline.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yep. You're right on. You're right on with it.
So discomfort is kind of how I would exactly put that. And I think that's what you're kind of circling and trying to figure out as well.
Yeah, and I'm also trying to not jump too far into the future, because we'll cover the future next week. So, but I do like how you propose the question of, is this necessary? And if you don't have anything else, I think we'll just wrap up with that. So, between now and next week, if you'd like to tell us if you think this is necessary, you can do that on Twitter at Not the Nerds, Facebook at Not the Nerds Podcast, good old-fashioned email, nothenerdspodcast@gmail.com. Aside from that, we'd like to give a shout-out to Kevin, our graphic designer, at They Call Me K-Dub on Twitter, and thank you, Lindsay, for doing our intro-outro music. She is reachable via email, strangefantasymusic@gmail.com. So until next week, is this necessary? I don't know. We'll find out.
Let us know on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn. What else are we on?
The internet.
YouTube, yeah.
How about this one? Just go to notthenerds.com. We got all our links and everything there. Check that out. That website is live, so...
Awesome.
There you have it.
Cool.
Until next week, these aren't the nerds you're looking for. I've been Kevin.
Bye-bye. Lorenzo.
Bye-bye.